Some cases were never solved. Some calls were never traced.
Every day, thousands of train journeys arrive exactly where they are supposed to. But in 2019, an anonymous railway forum post detailed a routine overnight trip where an entire carriage of passengers simply disappeared into the dark. The passenger, a 28-year-old named Michael, was returning home from a business trip. His train departed Denver, Colorado shortly after 11 p.m. He was assigned a window seat in Coach 7, a standard carriage near the rear. The car was mostly full. Families talking, students scrolling on their phones, and a few travelers sleeping under the low atmospheric hum of the rails. Modern transit relies on predictable schedules and closed environments. You buy a ticket, take your seat, and trust the engineering to carry you safely through the night. At 12:47 a.m., the train approached a mountain tunnel. On this specific route, passing through this stone passage takes exactly 3 minutes. The train crossed the threshold. Darkness filled the windows. The carriage lights flickered once, then stabilized. Michael noticed the sound first, or rather, the lack of it. The heavy mechanical clatter of steel wheels and the vibration of the engine completely ceased. Absolute silence filled the space. He removed his headphones and looked around. Every single passenger was gone. The elderly woman across from him, the family by the exit, vanished. No luggage, no jackets. Only empty blue seats under harsh fluorescent light. He checked his watch. 10 minutes had passed. The train was still speeding through the mountain, surrounded by pitch-black glass, long after it should have exited the 3-minute tunnel. In anomalous reports, this is described as a vacuum state. The world outside the train has simply stopped being there, leaving the subject suspended in a void where space and time no longer track with the world left behind. Michael moved toward the connecting door and stepped into Coach 6. The absolute emptiness continued. No passengers, no conductor, no staff. Then the intercom crackled. A burst of static echoed through the car, followed by a single distinct voice. "Do not look outside." But as he stared at the glass, a pale human face appeared in the darkness beyond the window. It stared directly at him, effortlessly keeping pace with the train moving at 70 miles per hour. This diagram illustrates the theory of localized spatial rifts. Entering dense geological structures can detach a moving environment, shifting it into a parallel, overlapping plane. Here, objects do not follow conventional momentum. External entities instantly match the velocity of the anchor object without physical acceleration. The void beyond the glass was no longer empty space. It was an active environment, governed by its own laws of motion, and Michael was completely exposed to whatever lived inside it. He pushed forward, moving carriage by carriage, through Coach 5, past Coach 4, into Coach 3. As he walked, the physical condition of the train began to change. The overhead lights grew dim. The seating fabric became worn and frayed, and the walls were stained with age. He was walking forward through the train, but the environment was aging backward. This graph maps the time distortion theory across the train's layout. Extreme spatial anomalies stretch time unevenly across a single physical structure. While the rear cars remained in the present, the front cars existed decades in the past. When Michael entered Coach 2, he found someone sitting alone at the far end. The figure was perfectly still, wearing clothes that belonged to another era entirely. He approached the seat. The figure slowly turned around. It was him, the exact same face, same eyes, but decades older, with pale skin and an expression of complete exhaustion. The older Michael spoke quietly, telling his younger self he shouldn't have looked outside. Then he pointed to the window. The thousands of smiling faces pressing against the glass outside, those were the missing passengers. The older man is the physical reality of the tunnel's geometry. He is the version of Michael that never woke up in the countryside, proof that some journeys don't just end, they continue until the passenger is worn away by them. Somewhere ahead, the heavy screech of metal brakes echoed through the cars. The train was slowing down in the endless dark, preparing to stop where no destination existed. Through the windshield of the front carriage, an enormous structure emerged from the shadows. It was a massive, decaying underground station built directly into the void. Above the platform hung a rusted, heavy iron sign. Barely visible in the dark, the faded letters spelled out 2 words: "Last stop." Hundreds of silent, pale figures stood shoulder to shoulder on the concrete. All of them were motionless. All of them were smiling. And all of them were watching the doors, waiting for Michael to step out. The doors chimed to open. Suddenly, the older Michael grabbed his younger self violently. "Run!" he screamed. The glass shattered inward, plunging the carriages into total darkness as the train lurched forward. The station operates as the final destination for those who wander into these rifts. Once a traveler steps onto that platform, they join the silent crowd waiting for the next train to arrive, becoming another smiling figure in the dark. Michael lost consciousness. When he finally opened his eyes, brilliant sunlight streamed through the windows. The train was speeding through open, green countryside. The anomaly had collapsed. The carriage was completely normal again. Passengers were reading and chatting. The conductor punched tickets. Nobody remembered the tunnel, the dark, or the vanished crowd. But resting quietly on the empty blue seat across from him was a single yellowed piece of paper. It was an ancient train ticket stamped with the destination, "Last stop." Written on the back in Michael's own handwriting were 4 words: "Don't look outside again." Railway authorities officially deny the existence of any undocumented stops inside the mountain route. Michael's account was dismissed as a sleep-deprived hallucination, yet the ticket remains. A physical artifact suggesting that our scheduled reality runs right alongside unseen dimensions. And sometimes a wrong turn in the dark leaves you holding a warning from a version of yourself that never made it home.
Like